In progress. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
welcome everybody. This is the AUW California Branch Development Peer Group Meeting Supplement Special Event. Uh, when Peggy came to us with this wonderful prospect of what the branch in Honolulu is doing, we decided this needs a meeting of its own. We didn't want to try and wedge this into a bunch of other stuff we already had planned. So we will be learning lots of new stuff. I wanted to welcome all the people from the AUW Honolulu branch. Thank you for being here and thank you for presenting. We also have members from AAUW Oregon, which often joins our meetings. I don't know if we have anybody from AUW Washington today, but they often also join our meetings. This will be our final peer group meeting for the year until September. And then Sharon and I will be just stepping off this committee. So the new leaders for branch development will be Becky Gomez, Donna Holmes, and Sina Trigas. So watch for information for them for programs for next year. So I'm going to let Peggy introduce the program today and also introduce Hope Bennett and her team. And I'm just going to be quiet. Thanks, Peggy.
Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce the lead speaker for tonight's peer group session, Community Women's Circles. And there's two or three of these gals from Honolulu who are here with us tonight, and Hope can introduce the others. Hope Bennett is the outgoing president of AAUW Honolulu branch. It's a branch that's been part of the Hawaii community for over 120 years. She's also the current secretary for AAUW National Board, having served as board member since 2025. As a first-generation college graduate, Hope is deeply committed to AAUW's mission, and she considers herself fortunate to have once called the great state of California home. She lived there for several years in San Francisco and graduated from Stanford Law School. I now present Hope Bennett.
Thank you so much, Peggy, Sigrid. Thank all of you folks for being here this evening. For us, it's still the afternoon, but it's a real pleasure to be able to share a little bit about what we are doing a couple thousand miles away from you folks. But I'm really privileged to share it because I do think that some of the concepts and ideas and even logistics of what we're doing are really applicable to branches throughout the country. And especially, frankly, the West Coast, where I think social experiences tend to be a little bit more casual, and this sort of activity could really benefit. I will say that this idea of branch development from the national perspective, I believe, is something that's very important. I know it's important to us in Honolulu too, and we are giving things a try. And so we hope that in that spirit, our presentation today will inspire you folks to give things a try. This concept really grew out of a pilot, out of experiments, out of people wondering and being curious about really what might help us reach more people in the community and make our AEW stronger. And so it has been very successful, but we also have a lot of things that we're still working on and places to grow. So we are going to be sharing all of that with you here today. We have a slideshow presentation, and we do encourage you, as has been said before by Sharon, to please put any questions you have in the chat. I will be monitoring it, and hopefully we can stop and address those questions when they're appropriate. But we will certainly save some time at the end for you folks also to ask any follow-up questions. And we will have not only this video, but the slideshow will be available as well. We can work with Sigrid and Sharon to make sure that that is available for folks who are interested in those details so that you don't have to take notes. Before I begin, I just want to introduce the other friends here I have from Honolulu. So with me today is Barbara Bumate Pikayo, who is, Barbara, you want to give a wave there? So Barbara was a member of AAUW. We were fortunate enough 2 years ago to be able to fund a part-time staff person. And so she has become a part-time staff person with us. She is a program manager. And so she does facilitate many of the logistics for the Women's Circle. However, it is not necessary to have a staff member in order to do this. It is absolutely something that a volunteer group and individual can do. So I don't want to put anyone off by that, but we are grateful that we have her support, and she's really done a fantastic job helping us with all of that. So you'll be hearing from Barbara mostly as she goes through the logistics of the presentation. I also have with us here today Leela Bilms Goldstein, who is a director and has been on of our board and has been on the board for several years now. And we have her here today because she's really been instrumental in helping create and nurture this program. And so she is here to answer questions specifically and present specifically about the role of facilitator, because that is an important aspect of these women's circles that we're going to be talking about. And so we look forward to hearing her insights about what's worked and what's challenging so that you folks can get a feel for what that position is like. We do have one other person who'll be joining us a little bit later, a participant, so that you can hear a little bit about what it's like from that perspective for a participant to join in these kinds of meetings, what they get out of it, what they're inspired by, and how they connect with other folks and feel that it's beneficial to them. So hopefully we have all of our different perspectives covered, and we look forward to sharing all of those with you. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Barbara to begin our slides, and we'll jump right in because we do have quite a bit of content that we're going to cover here. So I'm just going to give Barbara a moment to do that because I know she just became co-host. And I'm actually really excited that this is our lead screen because this is a new sticker that we developed here to represent our branch. We have a couple of different iterations of it, and we've been giving them out to folks. I also was just at Nationals board meeting a couple weeks ago, and I was handing them out all over the place there. And frankly, the national staff was really supportive because I did mention to them, hey, I know this isn't exactly on point with the colors and everything. And they said, we really want you folks under AAUW's umbrella to be who you are and identify with your communities. And so they were really happy to see this. So I'm excited to present this to you folks. I joked with some of the staff about how maybe all the AAUW branches can kind of find something unique in their community and we can all have our own stickers. So this is just a little fun introduction to that. We do have a unique culture out here in Hawaii. So I will say, you might find that some of these elements, again, I think maybe it's more of a West Coast culture, and I think that embraces all of you folks. But some of them might be specific to our community too. But we will share it all with you, and you can see how it applies to your own. Okay, if we can go move to the next slide. And let's just start with what we're here to present today. So we are calling it a women's circle. And just before I dip into what that is, in terms of the stickers, we give out the stickers at our scholarship events, at our grant events, where we honor our scholarship awardees and our grant awardees. We also, if we're ever tabling at the university, we give them out there. And we certainly give them out here at the Women's Circle as well. And we've noticed that people like to stick them on their laptops and on their water bottles. So the Women's Circle is what we're presenting here on today. And really what it is a gathering of folks. And you can see here, we have a lot of text, but that's for folks who aren't able to kind of get it all down. So you can read it all later. But really our goal, this came out of a goal of trying to engage more individually with folks in the community and really try to build a network that made women in our community feel like they had an attachment to AUW and felt like there was some value and interest in what we were all about. So this group meets about once a quarter, and it's pretty prescribed. We've been doing it very regularly in order to make sure that folks know what to expect, make it predictable. So it meets from 12 to 1:30 on a weekday. And about 15 to 25 participants, 3 to 5 facilitators, we call them. Of course, these are volunteers, just members of our branch and our community. And it's facilitated topic-driven discussions is what we call it. And what that means really is that we come together, we enjoy lunch, We split into small groups, and the facilitator or the leader of each group kind of opens up the discussion and allows folks to share their perspectives and to engage with one another on a topic that's of interest. And we'll talk a little bit more about how those topics are chosen and what the facilitated discussion looks like. But really, this began as a way for us to try to engage a broader spectrum of people in our community. We have, as I mentioned, we have scholarships, which I know many of you folks have as well. We also do professional grants, so career grants kind of for folks in our community. And we were finding that we were putting these scholarships and grants into the community, but really didn't have other ways of bringing those folks into the fold and engaging them in public policy or engaging them in branch leadership. And so we discovered that one way to effectively do that was to create more opportunity to personally engage with them and with each other. And in that way, we were able to introduce more about AAUW and have them feel a greater bond towards our organization. So this is touching a little bit more on that, on why we started. So another reason why we started this, and I imagine this is something that you folks can relate to, is that frankly, our membership has gone down quite a bit over the last 10 years, 20 years. And we really were looking to ask why, what communities do we still need to reach out to? And we found that instead of being a membership organization that was exclusive to folks in the community, we really wanted to open things up and be really inclusive of our small community out here in Honolulu and say, you know what, we're going to do an event and we're going to invite the community. We are not going to require people to be members. We're not going to do a hard sell for membership. We are just going to be out there having discussions, supporting women. And it's a real relationship between members and non-members. And in that way, we feel like there's a natural progression toward interest and towards more engagement. And so it's kind of working two ways for us here. We have our members who feel really valued and useful. This is a way that they want to spend their time. They want to be part of the community in this way, having these discussions with other women in the community. And we find that it's really beneficial for folks out there in the community who also want a place to come together and find mentorship and find different perspectives. Lastly, I will say we think it's a good thing for AAUW. And the reason is because with that dwindling membership, we are looking to broaden our reach. There are so many communities out there that just haven't heard of us, even though we're a small island. And we believe that they would find value in the AUW mission and goals if they only knew about it. And so this is a way for us to reach out, not with a mailer asking people to become members of an organization that they don't really understand, but rather getting the word out, and we'll talk about how we get the word out to folks and inviting them to just be part of a community of women that comes together. And so in that way, I think it feels less intimidating and it also feels more open. They don't have to be absolutely sold on the AAUW mission in order to come in the door and engage with us and learn more about what we're doing. So that's really why we started. And we're going to share a little bit more logistically about who's coming and exactly what they're doing so you have an idea of the specifics and how they might relate to your branch. So I'm going to go ahead and let Barbara talk a little bit more about who's coming to these events.
Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara. Like Hope said, I'm the program manager. So I will be talking to you more about the specifics and the logistics. Yeah, so we have, oh, I also wanted to say that I am just one of 6 people who are part of planning and organizing these women's circles. Leela, who's on this meeting, is also one of those 6. But we originally, our focus was working women. That was really what our bread and butter was going to be. But it turned out there was a place for people of all types, people of all kinds of where they are in their life. There's people who are still students, graduate students, retirees, moms that are not working, women who are in the middle of a career transition. We've had women, you can see our age range is 21 to 81 years old. So that was surprising to us that we had such a large, a wide variety of women who were interested in these women's circles. And as our women's circles continued, it became clear to us that that was a good thing, the diversity. It's become a place where some women become mentors for some of the younger women. The experience comes into play. And so this is some of our statistics here. We've had now 9 women's circles. So we've been doing this for 2 years and a quarter. And so far we've had about 192 total attendance, and you can see there the other statistics. If there are any questions, Hope, let me know. And if you guys want to do questions intermittently versus waiting till the end, it just whatever makes sense.
I'll watch the chat. Thank you.
So how it works, just as a before anybody ever comes, like Hope said, we get the word out. We do have a registration page on our website. We do charge $10. We'll get more into the financials and logistics later. But before anyone comes, there is communication with them. Either maybe it's just, hey, this is what we're going to talk about, and let me know if you have anything specific you would like to discuss in this women's circle. Or maybe it's a question that we have for them that we want them to think about and be ready to talk about. So there is communication with them before we even meet. But every single women's circle, they come, we have name tags pre-made for them, and it's just a good, nice time for talking, networking, grabbing food. We always have food from a woman-owned eatery or woman-owned restaurant, which makes always for a great topic of conversation. The food is a draw for the events because people do like certain restaurants and they like to support those restaurants and get to enjoy the food. We always have a topic introduction by one of us, and then we either have a short presentation by an expert. This is always a volunteer with our team, or it's a participant that comes up to us and says, hey, I could really help out with that topic. And so everybody feels like they could be a part of this. It isn't that we're reaching out to experts looking for expert opinion. It's just someone who's in the community already and says, I can help out with that. And then we usually have some sort of icebreaker questions to kind of warm the room up. That's when we break up into small groups for that facilitated discussion, which we'll get more into what that looks like. But small groups tend to be between 5 and 7 people with a facilitator. And we like to always have some sort of concrete action that the women want to do at the end of it. So what are the takeaways, and what are you going to do, and then a closing. This is how every women's circle works. This is an example. These are the actual topics that we've covered in the past, for the past 2 years and a quarter. And so you can just, if you want to take a look at these, we will be passing these slides out. Just if you want ideas for any conversations that you're having, or circles that you might plan in the future. Just to give you an idea though, the most popular one was dealing with difficult people. That's the one that we had to cut the registration off. The room that we have only holds a certain amount of people for one, but at 35 people, I think we reached 35 people 2 weeks before the event even happened, and we had to cut that one off. So that's a very hot topic. The other ones that were pretty popular were career transitions and advocating for yourself. These are just some topics taking shape that we are working on in the future. We're looking at our next one to be engaging with legislature for beginners. And then if anybody has any other ideas for topics as they're thinking of this, or as you're looking at our examples of topics, go ahead and throw that in the chat also. I'd love to hear, we'd love to hear ideas from others. So onto facilitated conversation. we do have Lila here. We're gonna ask her we'll ask her some questions, but this is what we have found what we have found makes a really great facilitated conversation. I'll actually start on the right-hand side, our process. So, and we are going to go through an example of this in the next slide, but beginning with an icebreaker. So always some sort of thought-provoking question. Sometimes we give this question to them in advance, so it's not a big surprise, so they can prepare for the question, or that brief presentation from an expert. Again, like I said, you sit at a separate table. It's nice if you can be in a completely separate table, so there's not too much overlap of conversations. And it just creates a much more intimate discussion. And every table definitely takes a different direction. And people feel safe when they're in a smaller group versus speaking in a larger one. Our facilitators always come with prepared questions that we have printed out for them. So these act as a guide for them. And if, maybe the conversation starts to wane, or maybe the conversation starts to really go off topic, these are questions that the facilitators have to bring the discussion back, or just to move the discussion in a direction that we, hope to go in. We do have the facilitators take notes when possible, because we like to follow up with a summary to the participants afterwards. It's always good to give them to just continue with the conversation as much as possible post circle, and then closing with an action. We always ask at the end, what are you going to do now? Now that we've had this conversation, what is something that you're going to do differently? And we share that amongst our table. And over here are just some tips for what we have found makes a great facilitator. And I think instead of me going over those, you can look at those and also get some good information from Leela when we talk to her. And I wanted to also add who prepares the facilitator questions, because this is we meet we meet at least twice before each women's circle, and we come up with a topic when we come up together with these targeted questions. So it's really a group effort. And I won't lie, some of us sometimes uses AI to help us develop the questions as well. Talking to our friends, reading magazines, etc.
Barbara, I'm going to pause here just for a minute. Thank you for all of this. And note that for folks who are wondering, how do we get the word out and who are these people that are attending, we are going to cover that a little bit later. For now, I just want to address one of Sigrid's questions, which is a little bit about how we recruit facilitators, and kind of to give you an idea of the scope of our branch and our committee members. I mean, we are not a large branch in terms of numbers at all. I think maybe we have less than 40 members, which, is a significant drop from what it was 20 years ago. But what we do is maintain a very robust email list of what we call community supporters. And Barbara can talk a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more about this later when we get to that part about how we market this. So we do maintain a number of avenues, not just our email list, but also our social media. So we are doing a lot of things on that end, but we are a small-ish branch. And then in terms of our committee members, this is a committee, you and Leela, Barbara, can maybe talk to how many people are on the Women's Circle committee and how they were recruited kind of into the fold.
Yeah, we are a group of 6. And we started out we were 5, and we eventually asked another person who was a participant, and we just noticed that she was really great. She was going to everyone, and she's also a member. And so we asked her to join us as well. But so everyone who is the facilitators were just the women who wanted to start this and start these women's circles. There is some hesitancy with some of these women not feeling, at least in the beginning, that they were capable or able to be a facilitator. But I think with practice and just realizing, and you'll hear more from Leela about that too, realizing that it doesn't really, you don't need expertise. And that's one of the things, and you'll see that's my last point on this slide, leave expertise at the door. It's facilitators really don't need to have a deep knowledge of the topic. It's really just being able to listen, be flexible, bringing the conversation back. Leela, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or we can, let me go through this quick example. This is from a real women's circle that we had 2 women's circles ago. It was called Women, Money, and the Stories We Carry. And this was our icebreaker question. What's a money mantra you live by? And this is alone, just was very lively conversation immediately. And these were some of the guiding questions that the facilitators were given or had printed in front of them. So these are the questions that if they would start out with one of these and then just let the conversation go where it went. But if they needed to go refer back to one of these questions, then they had this. And then our closing question is always given as well. Again, what are you going to act on, or what are you going to think more deeply about? So I just wanted to give you a real life example of what kind of questions we ask in our women's circle and what kind of conversations we're having. So this is where I want to introduce to you Leela. Leela is on our board as well as being a member, as well as being the committee lead for the Women's Circle. So Leela is one of our facilitators, and I'm just going to ask her if she can. Leela, can you tell us, well, go ahead if you want to introduce yourself real quick or say hi.
Hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here, and what a large and smiley meeting this is.
So, Leela, can you tell us why you got involved with Women's Circle and what's your experience with it so far?
Sure. I think the way I got involved with Women's Circle is pretty much the way I get involved in a lot of things, and it might be true for many of you as well. It was thanks to a very persuasive individual and some really good food. But so a woman who is no longer a director um, at AAUW and but is on the Women's Circle committee, I think hatched this idea, and she got 2 of us together. And I'm a director, but the other person isn't. And she just threw it out there, and it just, to me, it felt like a really smart thing for AAUW to engage directly with the membership and other people who are prospective members and people who have been touched by AAUW in some way, to meet more women in the community that way. And I really like the idea of AAUW Honolulu as a connector for people.
All right, and what do you think makes a good facilitator?
Um, what makes a good facilitator? Just as Barb said, a person doesn't need to be a trained facilitator. So first of all, knowing that it would is helpful, but also remembering that a good facilitator talks a lot less than people might think. Your job isn't to know everything about the topic, but it's to make sure that everybody's wisdom at the table gets heard. Um, a facilitator's curiosity is a lot more important than what they actually know. So it's kind of more about asking the questions that prompt people to think a little bit more deeply. And Barb described to you that we come preloaded with questions just in case we should need them. So I always feel confident in that. And it's it's been really interesting to see how quickly people can and are willing to become vulnerable when they're given permission to do that. And how much people really, myself included, crave authentic conversation, which is why I think this works so well, because many of us meet people and engage in small talk, but it seems to me more rare to have authentic and meaningful conversations with frequently, like mostly, I can say at least at AAUW, Honolulu Women's Circles, authentic conversations. And we provide that setting. We provide those questions and the people who help make that happen.
Yeah. Um, how do you think, why do you think people feel so vulnerable, are able to be vulnerable? How do you create that space where everyone does feel comfortable sharing?
Um, well, I don't think anybody comes in with the mindset like, oh, today I'm going to go sit with people I've never met and be really vulnerable. I think it's about just, I mean, asking an interesting question and being given the space to answer it. And I don't know, Barb, maybe you can tell me, have we really asked people, okay, keep it confidential, things like that? I guess that for the financial, we've asked people to, whatever you hear in this room stays in this room kind of thing. But I feel like it's kind of understood. Women kind of understand that. And, as a facilitator, I think that we sort of open the door. Like if I share something that's really real and authentic, that gives other people permission to do the same. And a really important part as well is to um, make space for the quieter people in the group because there are always those who aren't afraid to speak up and those who hang back a little bit. So maybe just asking, oh, is anyone who hasn't spoken, wanting to share their thoughts or experience here? So just listening to understand is really important in making people feel safe about sharing.
Thanks. And just for the sake of time, I'll just open it up if anyone else has any questions for Leela.
I don't see
Okay.
any, Barb, but why don't we keep going?
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you so much, Leela, for answering questions about facilitating. We, and I think I'm gonna just check. I can't see everybody
I
who's
do see Karina here.
okay. All right. So we'll get to her in a second. But because she does have a time constraint, but I will quickly go over spreading the word. So I know there were some questions on how we market it. This is how we market it. First of all, we have our website.
Barb, I'm sorry. Maybe we should chat with Karina
Okay.
first because I think there will be significant interest in kind of how we get the word out. If
Okay.
that's okay with you.
So yeah, no. So Karina is one of
Hello, my name is Tabor.
participants. And I just made a slide here for her. This is Karina. And I sent these prepared questions to Karina. So Karina, can you want to introduce yourself, say hi, and let us know how you heard about women's circles and how many you've gone to and what were the topics?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to see the familiar faces and to meet the new people too. So how did you hear about Women's Circle? I heard for the first time, I moved to Honolulu end of December, and I had quite a few friends on the islands. And one of my friends who lives on Maui, she was the grantee. And she told me about one of the first, it's been actually two circles this year, and I attended both of them. So I heard about the first one from her. And I never heard about AAUW, and I just Googled a little bit, and I felt really sad that it's the first time I hear, and I was very excited to go and try and see what's out there. So I already answered the second question. How many have I gone? I did two, and the topics, both of them were about money. I have a little note, women, money, and the stories we carry, the first one. And the second one was money matters. I would say I enjoyed most the people. I did not expect to meet this amazing crowd. As you mentioned before, you can be vulnerable there. it's very easy to let yourself relax. I have no idea how you create this atmosphere because, I've been to a lot of networking events all over the world. It has never been this easy as in Honolulu. It's just this icebreaker question already invites you to a very safe and cozy room where you can be yourself, and it feels like you have known all of those people forever. And I really cherish that because I feel it's very rare, this feeling. So I would say this is what I enjoy most. Um, how do I feel after a woman's circle, emotionally, mentally, or otherwise? Uh, Emotionally, both times very uplifted and very, inspired, ready to take actions. So mentally, I feel we got some instruments. It was very easy to attend, but I feel I carried a lot of instruments I could really use in real life practically right after the circle is done. So since both of the circles were dedicated to money, um, I've even done a little actions regarding the trust for my 6-year-old because she's modeling and she earns something and it just was out there on the account. We did nothing with this money. I'm like, I have to be more responsible. I have to start building something. Um, this was, you know, I think it's obvious, but I never thought about this before. Um, so I was very happy someone kicked me to take this action. I already described the women's circle community. The women are very different. It's different age, it's different background, it's different geography, uh, different lifestyle. Uh, but I would say there is a certain thing that unites all of these women. They are very warm and very welcoming and very supportive. Um, so this is how the group feels to me. And the last question, what I wish you did differently. It's a hard one, but the first thing that came to my mind is both times I felt I wish I could stay for another hour or two. So I wish we had more time because usually we have a little bit of networking in the beginning when we eat this delicious food, and then we work. And then boom, and we have to leave. I'm like, I wish we have a little bit like 30 minutes or 1 hour of, networking after because we get to know each other better. And I think we could, not only just talk about, life, but just, maybe share a little bit of the background or just share the thoughts and brainstorm some stuff. Yeah, so I wish I could spend more time with those women.
Karina, thank you so much. It's so valuable for me as well as I hope all the other folks out there to hear what it's like to be a participant and to just hear your honest take on what the experience is like for you and why you keep coming back. So thank you so much for sharing that. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Karina. And like Karina said, she found out about this from a career grantee. We give career grants out as part of our activities or part of our programs with AAUW. This was a career grantee in Maui, told her friend in Honolulu about it. And this is kind of how the network happens and how it works. And Karina, I couldn't have given you better answers if I fed them to you. So thank you so much for sharing your honest opinion. She is moving to LA in September. So if there's any LA AAUW people out there, Karina is looking to join a branch out there.
I do.
Thank you, Karina. And I know that you are joining us briefly, so we will let you go, but really appreciate your time and sharing that experience with us.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful rest of the day, everyone. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
And Barbara, as you're moving the slideshow back, I do have a quick question here that maybe
you.
you or Leela could address. And that is about how much time is allocated to just the facilitated discussion. So we were hearing from Karina that there's some lunch, sometimes there's a bit of a talk, just to set the stage. So how much time would you say we use just for that facilitated discussion?
I can take that. It's we usually have about, I would say, 1 hour max, maybe 50 minutes to an hour. So it's about 20, the first 30 minutes is for chatting and eating. We can bring the food, continue to eat the food while having the facilitated conversation. But yeah, and then we try to leave at least 5 to 10 minutes in the end to just have a closing, come back together and do a quick share.
Great, thank you. We do have another slide with video testimony, but I think for now we are going to move on to the spreading the word part because I see we have just about 15 minutes left. We want to be respectful of your time, and I know that this is something that is of interest to folks. So, Barbara, I'll let you go ahead and kind of go through some of these vehicles that we use to get the word out and get all of these participants to come to the table who we probably otherwise would not have heard of AUW. So this is a really important part of what we do.
Okay, thanks. So, and so this is some of what our marketing looks like for our various circles and topics. We do have a website, and we do have a website, and this is just to click on it. You look. This is what our website looks like, and on there has upcoming events and programs. This is what our registration. This is what it looks like for the next one coming up, which hasn't been fully realized yet, but this is kind of what the information looks like on our website and how you would register. We do have about 1,600 people that we send our newsletter to monthly.
I just want to note, Barbara, jump in. So we are a branch of about 30, but we carry an email list of about 1,600 people. So we are out there. A lot of what we do at wherever we are is getting people's email addresses, creating those touch points so that we can get the word out. So it's a vast difference, between who our inner circle is and who we engage with in the community via email.
Yeah, so we do have about 1,600, and this is, live, active people who are mostly opening the newsletters. And this is an example of a newsletter, and what you can see where we market. Going back, we have community partners or community collaborations, which hope we'll talk about in a little bit. Social media, we do share on Instagram and on Facebook about all of our events. We send out mass emails before each women's circle as well. This is an example of what an email looks like that went out. And personal invitations. So we send personal invites out to everybody who's ever done a women's circle before. I send it out to any scholarship awardees previously, Rare Grant awardees previously as well. And then our community partners, which hope can, so again, this is again who we invite. These are just some pictures of actual awardees and members who we've invited. But
so Barbara, before we move on, I do want to note that all the photos you're seeing in our slides are, none of these are stock photos. These are all photos of people who engage with us. They are people who we give scholarships to or grants to. They are people that volunteer with us. They are people that just engage with us in these community events. So we find that one thing that makes our marketing very powerful is that we're not just using, again, those stock photos of random, people. These are actually people in the community. And I think a lot of times as well, when we are in a bit of a smaller community, folks can actually recognize people that they know or might know just by acquaintance or have seen in other places and passed by and be like, okay, that person's engaging with this organization. That piques my interest. Barbara, I do see a couple of questions here. I know that we had a financial slide, but we can answer this, I think, pretty quickly here. So the $10 charge, the question for how is that just covering the food, or are there more costs involved? And is there,
Sorry,
it's okay. Are you going to that one? There we go. Okay, so we'll skip around a little bit here, and Monica will answer the question about the financials. Go ahead, Barb.
And this is just something that we've learned just with you're more likely to show up if you pay a little bit. So we asked people to pay $10. We thought it was a nominal amount. It is used to offset the cost, but more than that, it keeps people they're more likely to come. So we do have about 15% no-show rate still with paying the $10, but we know when we have free events, like our annual meeting, it's more, it easily goes to 30% or 40% of a no-show rate. So the $10 was more of a, you have a little bit of skin in the game. But as far as the financials, if we want to go over that really quickly, we use, our venue is free. We are using a meeting space in Leela's condo. Food is more than $10 per person, so it's usually about 15 to 25 per person. As far as plates and such, that's all free because all of our members that are in the committee donate, or we use reusable goods like real plates, real forks, and our marketing and facilitation is all done by me or our members. So our total net cost after taking in the funds is about $300 each one. And this is for typically about 25 people. So it's a very low cost to us on a quarterly basis to hold this women's circle. If we did have to pay for the venue, obviously that would bring it up a bit, but there are a lot of options for free venues out there. Were there any other questions about financials?
I think that's it for financials, but I do want to make sure we talk a little bit more about getting the word out. Barb, could you, before I talk about our community collaborations, could you just talk a little bit about the email list and sort of how you've seen it develop over the last couple of years, or where you see that traction come from?
Our email list it's grown via, if we go to a tabling event, every time we have an awardee, or every time we have a new season of awardees, they immediately join our email list. We also do Pauhanas, they join we also do another after work sort of group talk about public policy. They join our email list. Any sort of community collaboration, if we support the women in any way, in whatever capacity, we ask them if they would like to join our email list, and it's usually an easy yes. So I would say, like, as far as growth, is that what you mean, Hope? How many people we are growing? I would say we maybe have 200, 300 more than we had 2 years ago. So it's steady growth, but it's just been developing over the last, 15 years or 20 years when we started collecting emails.
Thank you, Barb. So I think the takeaway there is it does take a little bit of time, but now that we've developed a systematic way to do it, we do find that it does grow. So as Barbara mentioned, we are a branch that does give out a significant amount of scholarships and grants. And so those people who are applying, even if they are not awarded, if they are applying, they often join the list. And in the places that we go, either whether it be on campus or at a young professionals meeting, we do try to ask people to join that waiting list. So it's really everything that we're involved in, and also within these community collaborations that I'm going to share about now. So I spoke a little bit earlier about how I think all of us branches are sharing in this goal of trying to expand our membership beyond the folks that are comfortably already situated in the AAUW branches. I will be honest, I did not know about AAUW until a handful of years ago when I personally was volunteering for Dress for Success. Now, some of you folks might have Dress for Success in your communities. It's a great program that offers suiting for interviews and for job opportunities for folks that don't have those resources available to them. So I was volunteering in that organization and actually met someone else who was an AAUW volunteer, and she brought me into the fold that way. And what we've done over the past several years, very intentionally, is to really go out into the community and try to engage with other organizations that touch folks that AAUW in the past typically has not reached out to. We ourselves in our community out here, I will be frank to say that there is a large number of people in the community that have really been invisible to AAUW over that first century, I'll say. And so we've been very intentional and purposeful in thinking about AAUW as an organization that is community-based, as an organization that's rooted in our culture, that's rooted in the place where we live. And so we really focus on how we can engage and be relevant to the people that are right here. And so our primary way over the past years that we've been successful in doing that is collaborating with other organizations. So Just for Success, for example, we have a great partnership with them. We reached out to them. We said, hey, we like what you're doing. How can we collaborate? And they were more than happy to help us sit down and meet with them and come up with creative and interesting ways that our communities can relate to each other. So what we do now is that we have our scholarship recipients engaged with Dress for Success. We have an event at Dress for Success where our scholarship recipients can get suiting, where the Dress for Success actually comes to our scholarship brunch and gives all of the awardees a bag of hand curated suiting materials and bags and things like that. So we are working with them. Dress for Success also offers a great professional networking evening. And, that's a little bit beyond the scope of what we have the ability to do. So we are more than thankful in being able to tell our email list and our scholarship recipients, hey, we don't have this event, but Dress for Success does. And this is a great collaboration, so please attend their event. And in that way, we broaden our reach. The same goes for many of these other organizations that you see here on the screen. So the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, now called the Hawaiian Council, is a organization that we collaborated with a couple of years ago to fund and to create a CDL licensing program specifically for women. And so that is something that our AAUW branch was not capable of doing, but they had the capability for it. So we collaborated with them, and then we were able to reach a community of women that really would not have had any touch points with us at all. We have another organization that we work closely with called Girls Talk Back that supports youth in the community, high school girls, and it offers a leadership program for them. That's a great opportunity for us to actually engage with the mentors in that group. The mentors are professional women throughout the community. And so it's a double win for us because in collaborating with them, we are supporting the high school girls, but we are also gaining a touch point with professional women in the community that otherwise might not know about us. However, they're mentors for Girls Talk Back. We engage with them, we let them know what we do, and we develop that relationship. So I'm glad to see that Dress for Success is available in some of your communities as well. And Monica, I want to address something that you said right now about the 2-year degree requirement. So this is an issue that the AAUW Honolulu board has considered. I will say when I mentioned CDL licensing, for those of you folks who aren't familiar with it, this is a special license that you need to drive trucks. And so this community of women especially was one that primarily does not meet the degree requirement for AAUW. And so here we are, as you can imagine, this is a difficult situation. We are collaborating with a community. We are encouraging a community to get involved with AAUW. And we know that many of them will actually not be able to become members. Frankly, the board, our Honolulu board, stands very strongly in the corner of allowing AAUW as a community of women that are geared toward and supporting equity to look a little bit differently at that membership requirement. But how we address it is I can't think of one event that we do that is membership exclusive. So all of our events, our annual meeting, these women's circles, everything that we do in Honolulu that's based off of our branch is open to the community at large. We don't have any events where we say you have to be a member to do this. And that is really, Monica, I would say the way that we address this. We love support. We appreciate financial support from our members and from our community members, many of who do support financially without being a member. And so we see that as part of the bigger picture there. And we're saying, hey, we are not a community of AAUW folks who feel like membership is the goal. For us, really, because partially of that requirement, we feel like engagement and community support and donating through the website or whatnot, as opposed to membership, right now is something that we as a branch feel like we can really get behind. So it is a little bit tricky, but that's how we view it as a branch. Thank you for the question. I see that it is a minute before the hour, and I know that we started a little bit later, but I also want to be respectful of your time. Monica, I see you have your hand raised. Is there a question I can answer for you?
Let me just lower my hand. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. It's more of a comment along this line, which I think is really important, and our Oregon board feels exactly the same as you described. But what we learned, I think, at our retreat, or anyway, just recently, what we learned is that if a woman wants to join and she doesn't meet the 2-year requirement, but she has some sort of a work history, that can be submitted to national, and they're looking at it very favorably as a way to let these women in.
Yes, thank you, Monica. That is a new development that National has put out there, a new resource for us as branches to use. So I appreciate you pointing that out. Absolutely. In this last slide here, we just have a little bit about what we've learned. Again, I know we're at the hour, so you folks can certainly read this on your own. But again, our goal, I think as many of you folks have that goal, is making our AAUW branch stronger. And we've learned that we can't keep doing that by doing the same old things that we've been doing. And so this really was a pilot. This was an experiment. And in trying to engage with people on a different level, I think you heard from Karina and from Leela that authenticity keeps people coming back, keeps people trusting our organization, so that at that point, then we can begin to speak with them more seriously about AAUW programs and policy advocacy, as well as leadership. So this is, I will say too, that one of our women who came in as a grant awardee then became a facilitator in the women's circle, and she's now a director on the board. So we are seeing success in being able to have a more sustainable branch because of this program specifically. So I will leave it at that. Again, here's some photos of what we're doing, real life people doing real life things that matter and making real connections that are making our AAUW stronger. So I appreciate everyone's time. Peggy, Sigrid, I will let you folks take it from here, but we really do appreciate your attention and letting us share this, what we think is a really valuable program for our organization and for perhaps your organizations too.
Monica, I want to thank you very, very, very much for this wonderful presentation. I think it is just so exciting. And look at all the hands clapping and stuff. I don't know if you can see all that reaction, but everybody show your reactions if you'd like to. This is a good time to do that. We really, really appreciate it and are hoping that we can call upon you. I think the facilitating part and just getting started on some of the first, like, what was the questions? If we can even say, can we use some of these, and will you give us these questions so that we could just try it? Eventually, we'll get the hang of it on our own, but if we need to, can we call on you for that?
Absolutely. There is no secrets here. We are happy to share what we've created and all that we've learned.
I also want to thank Karine and Leela for coming and sharing and their stories and the presentation of how you got from just the process and the examples and the people, their testimonials. They are just really, really excellent. I think I see that you brought in things like engagement, connect, We're caring for each other. I love this, what you said about we are going to talk authentically to each other, what is so missing today. And I think this was kind of the beginning when I talked about circles, when I talked about volunteers first is getting, and I can see your volunteers decided this is what we want to do. And then basically these are the principles that we've talked about to apply within our community and get them connected to us. I am amazed with the story of the woman who talked about I just moved to Honolulu to, in December, and now I'm so look at this. I come back with a wealth of information. So I would love to hear of any of the attendees tonight, their reactions to and what they feel like they've learned tonight and what they might want to take back with them.
Peggy, I'd just like to make a comment.
Yes.
With Sigrid and me taking over in a few weeks, we want you to be aware that our tagline for what we're planning to do as presidents is inspiring action through community engagement. So we're right with you on this, and I love the idea that all of your programs and all of your efforts are to explore the community and your engagement with the community. I think that's so crucial to what you're doing, and it's so valuable. Thank you so much, all of you Honolulu members, for sharing with us tonight.
Is
And I
there
wanted
anyone
to,
else? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
wanted to thank Peggy for organizing this, but also Peggy's the author of Volunteers First, and it's a program that have been embracing in California, and we're going to continue to embrace in the coming years because it's absolutely essential. If you don't have the volunteers to do things, you can't run programs like this. And if you don't run programs like this, you won't have a branch in 5 years. So it is essential that we integrate our community engagement and our volunteer engagement to be successful, thriving branches. So thank you, Peggy, for doing this. I also wanted to let everybody know that when you sign off tonight, there's a short survey, and I hope you'll all participate in it because it helps us understand what programs we should bring to you in the future, what you liked about tonight's presentation, other things that might be important to you. But we thank you all for participating. So Peggy, I'll let you close this out.
Anne, I think you have a comment.
I just have a question. I thought it was fabulous, and we're having the new board have a 2-day meeting this summer. I'm from San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano Bay group, and on the website, when it's there in a few days, will we be able to use some of the slides, or are they solely for Hawaii? Will they be on the website?
No. Everything that is produced by any AAUW branch is the property of AAUW.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
And just like Hope said, do not hesitate to contact her if you feel like, I've done some facilitation and I've worked with the members of the branch to learn to interview when we were doing Tech Trek. And it just is a matter of laying things out that first time around. And then pretty soon, all the wheels start turning. It's just new to do it. And so do contact her for any information you need.
And note that Barbara has put her email contact information in the chat.
Great. That's wonderful. Thank you,
Well,
ladies. This was just a fabulous, fabulous presentation. And I hope we'll spread this among other people who weren't here tonight. And you'll use these ideas in your branches to expand your community engagement as well as engage your members in being more involved in the community.
thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you in your community.
Yes.
And
Doing
did you
lots of
say
circles of engagement.
Hope, do you say mahalo? Is that the thank you for
Oh,
Hawaii?
mahalo.
Very good.
Yes,
Thank you,
mahalo.
Sharon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, bye-bye,
All right,
everyone.
Good night,
bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.